Hey, what's happening? Ryan from Boast here. Today we are going to take a look at sequences. So sequences allow you to reach out to your customers to get feedback. In here, I already have a handful of sequences. When you start your account, you might not have any. Click Add New Sequence. We've got a couple templates set up in here, so if you want to do a Net Promoter Score, you can select that template and it will create that sequence and that form for you to do Net Promoter Score. Or you can start with just a general feedback request and select one of the forms you've already created. So I could do this general feedback request and use my existing form that I already made, or start and it's going to create the form for me. So I'm just going to go and grab one I've created, select this template, and it's going to start building my sequence. So the idea behind a sequence is that you're going to request feedback. You might just do it once. You could have one message in your sequence, but you're going to request feedback usually 2, 3, a handful of times until they actually click on it and fill out the form. So it has a built-in kind of reminder mechanisms to help you collect feedback. It's very possible you might email them one time, they see it, they're interested in doing it, they might not have a moment to do it right that second, and then they're going to kind of move on and go about their day. If you send them another message 3 or 4 days later, they're like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do that. Click on the email, click on the form, give you your feedback, and then you're good. So with this, I started with a template. So it's created 3 messages for me, and I can just edit these if I want. So if I want to change the subject to this one or change the content, I can do that for each of these. So after the person's enrolled, the next day it sends this message. If they don't do anything, 3 days later it sends this message, and then 7 days later it sends this message, and you can tweak these items. So what you can include in the actual subject is your custom message as well as maybe their first name to personalize it. In the actual body here, you can include their first name, last name, other information about them if you want, but the important things are maybe the form rating or the form URL. So if you have a ratings field in your form, you can include that right in the message. So when the email comes in, it'll show 5 stars. They can click on what they want right in the email, opens your form. If there's any other questions, they can fill those out. You can include the form URL. So if you have a survey that maybe doesn't have a rating, it's a couple videos or text questions or something like that, you can just include the link and they can fill that out. And there's also the ability to create a button that they can click on in the email. So those are the messages. It's going to go through those and work on getting them to collect what you need. I'm actually not going to modify any of these right now. I'm good with it. I'm going to jump over to the settings area. Do Ryan's demo sequence. It shows what form we're using. So that's the form that's used in the message. And that's the one we're trying to get people to fill out. One time or multiple. So the default is you're going to enroll somebody in this once. And if other things happen and they get enrolled in it again based on an automation you have set up or Zapier integration, they're only ever going to get this sequence one time. You can configure it where they can be enrolled multiple times. So if you wanted to ask every quarter an NPS or something, you could re-enroll them in the sequence and then they could get it again. So if I clicked on multiple here, I could save that. Let's look what else we've got. So in the triggers here, I could say, hey, every 6 months, let's redo it. So it's going to now, every 6 months, it's going to ask them. Under the triggers here, there's also this automatically enroll a contact. So how are people going to get in this sequence? You can manually enroll somebody, or I can say if they filled out this other form, then enroll them in the sequence. Delivery, we can control when these messages go out. So in the messages you saw 1 day later, 3 days later, 7 days later, we can also kind of make those on individual days and times. So maybe we don't want to send anything on the weekend and we want these to go out around 11 a.m. That's configurable. Enrollment, you can add a name, email, and enroll someone right here. There's also other ways in the application to enroll people, and you do need to activate it before you can actually enroll people. So you can enroll people directly here. You can also enroll people from the contact list. So let's just go ahead and activate this. So now our sequence is ready to go. I can close that. If I go over to contacts, I can enroll people from my contact list too. So I can select these people, do bulk update, select enroll in sequences, and then select the sequence I want to put them in. We've got the ability to import contacts, and then you can enroll them in bulk, or you can enroll them individually from the enrollment screen on sequences. So that's a great way to build an automatic process of collecting feedback and testimonials with Boast. And just to touch on one more thing with the with that triggers. So we've got, this is the goal, right? The goal is to get them to fill out this form. But the ability to add people into sequences based on forms they've filled out is a pretty cool strategy, because you could ask them for feedback once, and I could say, hey, if they filled out this form and they gave me a great rating, so they were a promoter, but maybe they didn't do a video on that first form, I could then enroll them in another form that's really trying to get that video. So we can do one that might just be a net promoter score. Once they give you a rating, hey, if they were happy with what you did, okay, enroll them in this other sequence. 5 days later, ask them if they do a video testimonial for you. So you can kind of chain these sequences together to really get the type of feedback that you want over time. Alrighty, that is sequences in a nutshell. Right now we've got email here, but probably you'll see some SMS features here shortly. All right, bye-bye.